Just want to check.
आपकी आवाज ठीक नहीं आ रही है।
नहीं आ रही है।
नमस्कार, सबको नमस्कार।
How about now?
जी एक्चुअली ड्रॉप हो रही है आपकी वॉइस जो है।
Drop हो रही है. Let me see here. Hold on 1 minute. Now let me just come through my phone. Actually, is it still like that or?
नहीं, अभी तो एकदम बढ़िया है डॉक्टर साहब,
जी।
एकदम बढ़िया है।
Okay, let me just get closer. Maybe otherwise I'll have to change it to my phone. It'll take a few minutes. So let me start. This is an attempt at a translation. I don't find myself competent enough to actually, translate what Guru Maharaj is saying, but I'm trying to do my best. So this is a attempt at translation from his article in Amulya Nidhi, Volume 2, in which he is describing the essence of yoga. And this is part 1, and I hope to, do the second part next time. So Guru Maharaj says, yoga means becoming one with and involves getting close to the Almighty, acquiring his qualities, and becoming like him. The methods and efforts one uses to bring about this union are collectively called yoga practices. Once yoga or union is achieved, a person's state is the same irrespective of his religion and the social strata he belongs to. Yoga practices or the means to accomplish this yoga or union, however, vary widely. Several pathways exist like Hatha Yoga, Raj Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Gyan Yoga, Shabd Yoga, Nishkam Yoga, Sahaj Yoga, Prem Yoga, Dhyan Yoga, Japa Yoga, to name a few. All these lead to the same place, although the techniques and methods used in each are different. Some are easier and some harder to follow. People's beliefs and nature vary widely. One path or system will not appeal to everyone. Keeping this in mind, wise men have devised different methods and routes, all leading to the same endpoint. One can imagine them to be different treatments of the same ailment, all effective. A competent guru can guide a practitioner to a path best suited to him or her based on the practitioner's situation, state, and nature. 4 internal powers form the inner cause, the antahkaran, and are the mind, the chit, the intellect, and the ego. All our worldly matters, as well as spiritual matters, are conducted based on these. As long as these 4 entities remain pure and spotless, one requires no yoga practice or effort. When defects arise in these faculties of our inner self, a need arises for various yoga practices to restore them to their original, pure, and sublime state. This purity is a prerequisite for our yoga or union. The defects of the mind, the chit, the intellect, and ego each require different methods and means for their rectification. A competent guru can accurately diagnose the ailments of the inner self and prescribe remedial measures and guide individuals to practices best suited for them. Generally, the spiritual journey in the quest of complete purity is spread over several lifetimes for a practitioner. A competent guru, blessed with divine sight, can determine the extent of progress practitioners have made previously and can guide them forward along the path. In this way, the practitioners do not waste time and effort on what they have already learned and achieved. Of these four entities, the mind, chit, intellect, and ego, the mind is the first, the lowest, and the most powerful, as it is subjected to the collective force from the other three. It is quite restless in nature, and Rajagun, and ignorance, Tamagun, usually drive it. If we can transform it by some means such that goodness, Satagun, becomes its driver in place of passion and ignorance, our onward spiritual journey becomes significantly easier. The next or the second link is Chit. The relationship of the mind and Chit is so close that as soon as the mind quietens down, the Chit also starts becoming calm. Most people do not completely understand the difference between the mind and the Chit. In the mind resides the power of resolutions, sankalp, and alternatives, vikalp. The Chit is the faculty that generates thoughts and proposals. It is also where the fluctuations of the mind, the vrittis, reside. The inner cause, also called the generic mind, antahkaran, is like a tree, with Chit as its root and the mind, intellect, and ego as its branches. When the Chit or the tree's root becomes pure, its branches, mind, intellect, and ego also become pure. That is why a practitioner on the yoga path has to work on his Chit. First, one has to free it from the influence of passion and ignorance and bring it under the influence of goodness, Sat, and subsequently progress even higher into a state where the Chit becomes completely devoid of thoughts. The moment we can attain this state of complete thoughtlessness, even if briefly, our yoga or union commences. This is the reason that Maharishi Patanjali has instructed us that yoga or union happens when the ripples of thoughts in the Chit are no longer present. Various practices can help us attain this state where thoughts no longer remain in the Chit and calmness prevails. Attainment of such a state marks the end point of all practices. At this point, we have risen above the affairs of the mind and Chit. We have left behind the stages of concentration, dharana, and meditation, contemplation, dhyan, and have entered the stage of samadhi or absorption. In this stage, one acquires the knowledge and awareness of the essence underlying everything, experiencing unparalleled joy and happiness when loses awareness of the body. On the basis of its intrinsic wisdom, the intellect starts evaluating internal experiences. We proceed from the mental body, manomay kosh, into the wisdom body, gyanmay kosh. As we have discussed previously, various practices for advancement are needed for us to progress past the stage of the mental body or the manomay kosh, out of the sphere of the moon, Chandralok, into the sphere of the sun, Suryalok, and into the wisdom body or the Gyanmay Kosh. Yoga or union begins here. From here onwards, we pass through innumerable stages of yoga or union. These stages are divided into two categories. One is concrete or cognitive, the Sampragyat Samadhi, and the other superconscious, the Asampragyat Samadhi. Both these are experienced by the practitioner in the wisdom body or the Vigyanmay Kosh. In the first, the concrete or cognitive stage, the Sampragyat Samadhi, the intellect is active and functional. In the second, or the superconscious stage, the Asampragyat Samadhi, the intellect also becomes quiescent and defunct. It finds itself unable and incapable of unfolding all secrets and facts associated with the Almighty, gets resigned and quietens down. As soon as the intellect ceases activity, one finds himself or herself surrounded by complete darkness. The inner wisdom completely disappears, and the knowledge previously gained is nowhere to be found. Whatever little pride one was harboring related to their past experiences, knowledge, and meditation is now completely decimated. All pride related to life and living itself vanishes. It marks the end of the life as we knew it and is the beginning of a new life. It is in this life that we would be able to become and act as the real humans that we were expected to be. This is the stage of nothingness, shunya, that lies between the wisdom body, Gyanmay Kosh, and the bliss body, Anandmay Kosh.
We just heard about the sadhana that gives us actually the upasana that we will do now is what we were told gets us beyond manomay course. So we will do that now. Please sit in a relaxed posture, a posture in which you can stay without moving for about say 30 minutes. Close your eyes lightly and envision that the divine light of God or Guru is coming in front of you, penetrating your heart area. Your heart is getting illuminated and you are slowly getting immersed in that light. Mind, as its nature is, will move away from this thing. So bring it back to what we are doing. So let's start. Bhanu.
dinbandhu dayal guru kehi bhanti tava guna gaaun tumhre pavitra charitra kehi vidhi naath kahi sunaau Jihva apaavan hai meri Guru naam kaise liye man vasara bhav-jaal meva kaise prabhu dhana dhanya maya रूप है क्यों कर न्योछावर कीजिए संसार सागर में फंसा ध्यान कान कैसे अर्पण कर सकूं, यह तो महापापी अधम धन धान्य अवमान देके गुरु तुम से नहीं उद्धार। श्रद्धा सुमिरनी भेंट करी मैं दीन हो चरणों पड़ा मैं पतित हूँ, तुम पतित पावन आपका है आश्रय। भव सिंधु में हूँ फंस रहा, गुरुदेव मुझे उठाइएगा। वाह दीनानाथ अपराधी को पार लगाई। जो दीन हो चरणों पड़े, हे नाथ वे सारे तेरा भिखारी, तुम बिना प्रभु आसरा किसका करें। मैं दीन हूँ, तुम दीन बंधु, मैं आदम तुम नाथ हो। मैं हूँ अनाथ कृपा निधान, तो तुम अनाथों के नाथ। माता पिता सुत भ्रात भार्या कोई साथ न जाएंगे, उस पाक व्यक्त तुम्ही अव्यक्त तुम्ही हो सतचित आनंद रूप विभो गुणागार गोतीत अगोचर अनुभव गम्य अज्ञेय सबके स्वामी अंतर्यामी पार ब्रह्म परमेश्वर हे करुणा सागर सब गुण आगर सतचित प्रेम निकेतन हे जगन्नायक विश्वविनायक हे जगजीवन हे जनक हे दुख भंजन जन मन रंजन जय जय आनंद के घन
बस कीजिए।
परम गुरु राम मेरा वनहार, परम गुरु राम मेरा वनहार, परम गुरु अति उदार मंजूर मंगलमय, अभिमत फल दातार, परम गुरु राम मेला वनहार, परम टूटी फूटी नाव पड़ी मम, भीषण भव मजधार, परम गुरु राम मेला वनहार, परम गुरु जयति जयति जय देव दयानिधि, वेद उतारो पार, परम गुरु राम मेला वनहार, परम गुरु त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव। ॐ सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै, तेजस्विनाविद्विषावहै। शान्ति शान्ति।
आप कुछ पढ़ें, प्रसाद लगवाएं।
कुछ कहने के लिए है नहीं, कहने पढ़ने के लिए, but as Dr. Saab was reading, so in that article Guru Maharaj is comparing chit with a tree, or the antakaran with a tree. Chit is the root and ego and the analogy that comes to my mind, and it makes probably relatable to most of the folks on this call who are, in some way related to IT. So in a computer system, where you have SSD or disk or tape or whatever, that is stored in the system is pure, perfect, acting with that system. Perfect in this world, so systems are not perfect. But in the ideal situation, you will see all the quality of external inputs, internal inputs that are stored on the storage. So that was one thing that was coming to my mind. If our antakaran or the internal organs are really purified, then it has to be reflected in our surroundings, the people, in a way that is ideal. Now, once again, nothing is perfect in this world. So, as now, how do you define what is the perfect behavior? For that, you have to have someone in your life whom you think reflects or what is considered ideal behavior, because abstract concepts I don't understand. So I'll share a very small, incident from Puj Babuji in Mathura. That simple thing, for ourselves, our lives will be a lot better. I don't know about the afterlife and all, but at least this life. So I was in Mathura. At least know that Karwa Chauth is considered a very, for wives, it is considered a very, sacred brother. So she couldn't. Instead, mummy ji ki jagah, he fasted and lota ka pani bahar dal ke then. So if you want, a real peace in our households, treat our spouses the way he treated, or wives the way he treated Mammuji. That itself can make a lot of difference in our lives. So, Uncle ji, that's all I have to say. प्रसाद आप ही लगवा दो. आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही.
कह रहा था कि जो आर्टिकल सुन रहे थे ध्यान के पहले, उसमें उन्होंने चित्त, मन, इंटेलेक्ट, समूह के बारे में कहा. उत्सवों का फंक्शन क्या है, how we understand those functions, and how can we purify them so that they can perform the function that they are supposed to be, not the function they are performing. तो इसके लिए गुरु महाराज ने क्रिया बतलाई, उपासना की क्रिया जो हम लोगों ने भी की. That was the only thing. उसके साथ साथ उन्होंने कहा चिंतन भी करो और स्वाध्याय भी करो, वो भी. तो these are the basic things that will purify those things. गुरु महाराज के सामने नैवेद्य रखा है, प्रार्थना कर रहे हैं कि हम लोग समझ पाए और उसे अमल कर पाए. So I'll take 5 minutes. If you get, okay, if some of you want to leave, that's fine. So प्रश्न पूछ, तो Bhanu asked me a question. Balance. So I wrote something that I'm reading to you. Actually, what happened that years ago, someone had asked me to summarize Guru Maharaj's teachings. And I told him that in summary, shortly, and I told him that I will summarize Guru Maharaj's teaching in just one word, and that would be balance. So whatever I wrote down that time, so I'm just reading that to you. It's not in a very, what do you call, formal writing. So there's a principle in physics that is also applicable to us human beings, and which is extremely useful to understand and put into practices. That is, there are two forces at play. One is moving outward, while the other is moving inward. To have only one without the other will lead to being out of balance, either being lost in the world or living the life of escapist. To fully experience both and to have them in a harmonious balance is the key. And that is a cornerstone of Guru Maharaj's message. So let's look at the physics part first. There are two forces at play with a satellite, satellite in orbit, or a rock swung in a circle on the end of a string. One force would have the satellite or rock continuous journey away from the center. This is the centrifugal force. The other force pulls the object inward through gravity or the tension in the string. This is the centripetal force. To have the two forces in balance is what allows the satellite to stay in its orbit and the rock in its roundabout arc. Now, us human beings, there are also two forces at play with human beings. One force is that of constraint. ज्ञानमय कोश, मनोमय कोश, प्राणमय कोश, and अन्नमय कोश. Intellect, ego, mind, senses, and actions. To recede, so that the consciousness might rest in its own true nature, which is called self-realization. That is also self-realization. And that is to have the highest inner realization. Guru Maharaj called it Samyavastha, Sahaj Samadhi, the balance between these two forces inside. There is somewhat very practical in daily life and the seeking of self-realization. First, the physics part. This flying away is caused by the centrifugal force, the outward pull. However, the Newtonian physics explains that it is not the centripetal force, the release of the inner pull that allows the rock to fly outward. Now our life form. It seems that the vast majority of out of a sense of having lived in the external world and finding it lacking something. Often people run into painful experiences which drive them to seek within. That it is the world and other people who are causing the suffering, just as it can seem that it is the centrifugal force that is causing the rock to fly away. The suffering. In reality, it is the cessation or removal of our connection to the inner source, which we really are. The string and the rock. As with the rock and the string, the cause of suffering is forgetting to maintain a constant awareness of the center of consciousness. And enjoying life in the external world, as if everybody is supposed to give up all their belongings and relationships and go live in a cave, that they should not have fun in life. It is not the world and its attractions that is the problem. Rather, as with the rock and the string, the cause of the suffering is forgetting to maintain a constant the self. When that awareness is cut off, like cessation or removal of the centripetal force with the rock and the string, we suffer. Guru Maharaj says, the solution is simple. Maintain a constant awareness of seeking the highest reality, the highest truth, the direct experiences of. I'm not talking about whether someone has or has not actually realized that self. Rather, I'm talking about the fact that it's like that keeps life in the external world in balance. It brings equanimity, peace of mind, or contentment. To keep a sense of contentment, don't remove the sting. 8. Steady awareness of the innermost source. That awareness is the centripetal force that keeps the centrifugal force of worldly life in balance. Moving outward while the other is moving inward. To have only one without the other will lead to being out of balance. Either being lost in the world, experience both, and to have them in a harmonious balance is the key. And that is the cornerstone of Guru Maharaj's message. People explain right, whatever not, but that I understand about balance. So I don't know if I still explain that it or not, because a lot of things that I have tough time. I can't even put on, can't even say that, but I hope I did make it somewhat clear.
इसका मेरे को that reminded me of, so I just say 10 seconds. एक बार वो बोले, I have very few instructions given throughout my life, even in those so many years. दोनों काम करो और मस्त रहो. बच्चों का पेट काट के हमें कुछ नहीं चाहिए.
Yeah, you know, you're not going to get any better definition of balance. So, should we close?
अंकल जी जैसे